All right, guys, last one I'm doing today. I'm in just a huge boxing mood right now, so I'm going to knock out another one. We're doing my the mid-year top 10s. I only got 2 divisions left. I'm going over my number 2 division in boxing right now, which is the heavyweight division. Personally, my favorite division is the heavyweights, and it always has been. I grew up in the era of Tyson, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. You know, I'm huge on it. Even the Klitschko years, there were some good fights in there, you know. Even if they weren't Klitschko fights, there were some good heavyweight fights. I'm big into heavyweights. I love the heavyweights now, and I can't wait to do this top 10 because it's my favorite division. And there's a lot going on, a lot going on. So with that, and that being said, let's get into whoever dropped out of the top 10. And there's 2 guys. They were both tied for 10th. First up is undefeated Jarrell Miller. Again, he was tied for 10th coming in to the last 3 months. Failed, he missed out on a huge opportunity against Anthony Joshua. As people know, he failed 3 different tests prior to that fight, suspended. There's talks about him possibly facing Tyson Fury next, but he's facing some suspensions. I don't know if that fight would take place in New York. He's got a suspension that's being lifted in September. A lot of people don't think he's going to get licensed in New York, so might have to go somewhere else. I don't think Fury would mind that, but I am hearing that he's an option, so we'll see what happens. Also dropping out that was tied for 10th is Adam Konaki, undefeated contender. No fault of his own. There were just other guys that moved in to the top 10 and have done a little bit more. He's got a chance to continue to prove himself. August 3rd, he's main eventing a card against Chris Arreola, former world title challenger. I think he's going to roll over him if he's as legit as everybody says he is, which I think he's legit. He's a good fighter. He'll continue to pursue that, and there's just other guys doing bigger things around him, but he's a good solid, and he'll be coming back then. So now let's get into the top 10. We start with number 10, dropping 1 spot from number 9, and that is undefeated Oscar Revis. Revis got some good news. He was coming off his biggest win in January, an upset, come from behind 12th round TKO victory over Bryant Jennings. He's number 5 in the WBO right now. He's getting a big opportunity. July 20th on DAZN, he's going to be challenging, or I don't know if it's challenging yet, but he's going to be facing Dillian White, pretty much to determine the mandatory number 1 contender for the WBC title, which is currently held by Deontay Wilder. This is a big deal fight for Revis right here. He's undefeated. He's coming in. I know he's the underdog against White. I do think he has a chance. I do think, he's going to lose this fight, but I think he's got a chance to pull off the upset here. He's a pretty solid heavyweight, and we'll see what happens. He's coming off his career best win. He's riding that momentum. I think he needs to go after White, throw it to the caution to the wind. White, he's a good fighter, but he's not invincible. He almost lost to Joseph Parker back in July of last year. Derek Chisora, he was behind on the scorecards when he scored that brutal knockout win over Chisora back in December. And he hasn't fought since December. So Rivas needs to come after him. And I think it's going to be a good heavyweight battle. That's July 20th on DAZN. Make sure you're watching that fight. Next up at number 9, dropping 1 spot from number 8, is Kubrat Pulev, former world title challenger. He's still the mandatory number 1 contender for the IBF title. That title shot's going to get pushed back, though. It's just flat out. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up fighting for the vacant title, though, at the end of the year or beginning of next year, because right now Andy Ruiz is a new champ. He upset Joshua. They're set to rematch in December. Is the IBF going to wait around with their mandatory number 1 contender waiting like this? Are they going to let Pulev fight for the interim title? We'll see what happens. I think they want to wait for this guy to get a shot, but they got to have a clear direction that this fight's going to happen. And Pulev's been number 1 contender since last October, so are they going to want their number 1 contender to wait around that long? So we're going to see what happens there. I do think there's a possibility Pulev's going to get a shot at the vacant title later this year. We just got to wait and see what the IBF decides. Next at number 8 is former world champ Alexander Povetkin. Still no fights for him. He hasn't fought since he got knocked out against Anthony Joshua last September. There's been a lot of talks about him coming back. I know there was talks about him coming back in July, but that's not on his schedule right now. So not quite sure what's happening with him. His highest ranking is number 7 by the WBC. He came into the year saying he only had 2 more fights left in him. He wanted to finish out this year and go from there. I think he's going to fight a little longer than that, depending on if he keeps winning or not. I know he wanted to land the Alexander Usyk fight later this year. That doesn't look likely. But I still think Povetkin's a good heavyweight, and he can do some damage and at least get in there. He's good enough to get in there against one of the big names and try to prove himself. So we'll see. I'm hoping he gets somebody decent before the end of the year. Next at number 7 is former WBO champion Joseph Parker. Parker came back and fought for his first time at the end of June. Took on former world title challenger Alex Leopai. Dominated him, 10th round TKO win. He's fighting for Matchroom and DAZN now, so he's got a platform in the United States. He's the only guy to ever beat Andy Ruiz a couple years back, so this guy's got some cred right now. He had it already. Eddie Hearn's talking about him possibly fighting Derek Chisora next. I think that's a good step-up fight, especially if none of the other guys ahead of him want to face him. He's kind of one of those guys that's a good boxer and can take a punch, so he's going to make you look ugly as he did Anthony Joshua. You're not going to look good against him is how he's going to be perceived. So I'm not sure he's going to get some of these guys unless they have to fight him, but work your way in. He's a good heavyweight. Work your way in by, mandating your title shot or whatever way you got to do it. Good young heavyweight right here. Well, hopefully he faces somebody like a Chisora later on in the year. Next at number 6, dropping one spot for number 5 is Dillian White. Now, Dillian White did enough bitching and complaining, which he deserved this. He is now the WBC's number 1 contender. They're talking about his fight on July 20th coming up here against Oscar Revis. They're talking about that being for the interim title to mandate his shot at Deontay Wilder. But now that the WBC is doing this franchise champion bullshit, some people think they're going to let Wilder become the franchise champion and just let White fight for the full title. Whatever. Get a world title around your waist. Because they have been avoiding this guy. He should have been the number 1 contender against Wilder for May. That was bullshit that they passed him over for Dominic Breazeale. This guy is deserving. He only has the loss to Anthony Joshua years ago on his resume, and he's still very good. And I hope he gets an opportunity after the Revis fight. I hope he gets an opportunity against somebody, maybe against the winner of Wilder and Ortiz. I just hope he gets somebody in the ring because I do like Dillian White and he deserves it. But I think he's going to beat Oscar Rivas. I can see him stopping Rivas in the late rounds, possibly getting a decision win. Should be a good heavyweight fight, though. That's July 20th on DAZN. Next, at number 5, dropping one spot from number 4, former world title challenger Luis Ortiz. It was confirmed Ortiz has his rematch with Deontay Wilder. Saturday, September 28th, Showtime pay-per-view. WBC title on the line. He's going to get a chance to prove that he's legit. This is going to be a very interesting rematch. I think it could go either way. I really do. Wilder is better, in my opinion, than he was when he beat Ortiz the first time. But I think Ortiz is more seasoned in terms of he's ready to go for a full 12 rounds. I believe in the rematch. He's fought 3 times since the Wilder loss last year. He had a second-round knockout against Bogdan Dainu, but then after that, he had a 10-round fight against Travis Kaufman, and then a 10-round fight against Christian Hammer back in March. So he's gotten the rounds in. He hasn't been as inactive as he was the first time when he fought Wilder. I can't wait to see this fight. I think it's going to be great. Personally, I'm going to say Wilder's going to knock him out again. Maybe quicker, but I definitely think Ortiz has a shot of pulling this off. It's going to be a good one. Saturday, September 28th, Showtime pay-per-view, WBC title. Can't wait to see it. Next at number 4, dropping 3 spots from number 1, is the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. As everybody knows now, he lost his unified title to Andy Ruiz by a 7th-round TKO in September. There's immediate rematch clause in a contract. It's already been invoked. I think Eddie Hearn's just deciding on whether it's taking place in the United Kingdom or whether it's taking place in New York again. I think Anthony Joshua, this fight is not going to happen before the end of September, though. It's going to happen in November or December. I'm not going to make a prediction right now, but we should know when, by the next top 10 that I do at the end of September, we'll know when this fight's taking place. So, tough loss for Joshua. I think he was overlooking Ruiz. I think he made a mistake after he hurt Ruiz a couple times in the fight, knocked him down, and hurt him later in the fight by jumping on him and not boxing. I think he's going to, I think he understands those were mistakes. So hopefully the rematch gets done up soon. Next at number 3 is the new unified heavyweight champion of the world, Andy Ruiz Jr. What an upset he scored over Anthony Joshua. 7th round TKO. Got up, hit off the canvas to do it. I mean, in the 3rd round, impressive performance. Kept grinding. Big upset. But a talented fighter right here. This guy was a top 10 guy. He's a top 10 heavyweight. He went with Joseph Parker. Almost beat him back in 2016 for the title. Some people thought he won. He was fighting in Parker's home country of New Zealand, though. So, people were saying that's the reason that he lost. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. He was a good amateur fighter. Over 100 amateur fights. Solid, seasoned guy right here. Good heavyweight. It's going to be a tough out for anybody. He's not going to be an easy guy to beat. So, rematch should happen with Anthony Joshua later in the year. We should know the date of that by the time we do our top 10. And I'll give a prediction on that rematch then. But, yeah, big-time win. Probably the biggest of the year so far in any division. Got to hand it to Andy Ruiz. Big upset. Next, at number 2, moving up one spot from number 3, is the undefeated WBC champion Deontay Wilder. He returned in May, took on Dominic Breazeale. Destroyed Dominic Breazeale. First-round knockout win. Retained his title. It was technically his mandatory defense. Now he's already signed on. There was some speculation he could be facing Tyson Fury in a rematch next. Now he's signed on for the rematch with Luis Ortiz at the end of September. So basically, this is going to be the last fight before we do our next top 10. So I'll make my prediction. I don't know. Wilder, to me, looks more aggressive and more confident than he did in the first fight. He hesitated in the first fight. Ortiz was beating him until he landed a big shot. His confidence went up. I think he's more willing to engage now and go after that fight. Go after the rematch. I think he wants the Tyson Fury rematch, badly next year, because that's the speculation that these two guys are fighting early next year, Wilder and Fury. That could hurt him if he's looking forward to that, but I think he wants that fight. So I think he's going to go after Ortiz. I see it. I think he knows that he can't let this fight get into the deep waters again. So he needs to go after the knockout early. I think he's going to do that. I think he'll get it, and he'll hold on to his world title. I do believe it could go either way, though. I could see Ortiz winning this fight, too, but it's going to be a good fight either way, and it's going to be a good event. The undercard's going to be good, so make sure you're checking it out. Saturday, September 28th, I got Wilder winning by knockout. Should be a good fight, though, him and Luis Ortiz, the rematch. And now, new number 1, moving up one spot for number 2, the undefeated former unified champion, Tyson Fury. I'm not calling Tyson Fury the lineal champion. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to say this, and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Tyson Fury is not the lineal heavyweight champion. They're doing that for ESPN's, basically ESPN's sake. And it makes me sick that even Max Kellerman, who I love Max, that he is going with this lineal shit. Because you know what? Here's my thing. Tyson Fury couldn't handle being a heavyweight champion after he beat Vladimir Klitschko. I understand he had personal demons and cocaine problems and mental issues. I get that. I'm not knocking any of that. But he was fine as a fighter. Maybe he had all these things going on prior to that. But he built his way into a title shot against Klitschko, pulled off the upset. So he was rolling. It's when he became champion that he couldn't handle all his shit anymore. And he got stripped and he vacated those belts. You're no longer the champion, buddy. You're not the lineal champion. I don't care if anybody else didn't beat you. You beat yourself, bud, and gave up those belts. You do not deserve to be called the lineal heavyweight champion. You don't. That's just plain and simple, you don't. That belt became vacant when you vacated it. So I hate this shit. They're doing it for ratings is what they're doing. To boost their ratings. Hey, the lineal heavyweight champion is fighting this weekend. No, he's not. Should Tyson Fury have beaten Deontay Wilder? Absolutely. He deserved that win. He's number 1 because of what he's done in the ring, not what he lost his belts out of the ring. So he should be the WBC champion right now, and he is my number 1 heavyweight in the world. But this whole lineal shit, it pisses me off. But anyway, he came back in June, got an impressive second round TKO win over Tom Schwartz. I love that win. It was a good win for him. They're talking about him fighting Jarrell Miller later in the year. They're still moving pieces around, trying to figure out who the opponent's going to be. But he is lined up for Deontay Wilder early next year. as long as Wilder gets by Ortiz. We're going to see about that. That's going to be a good one in September. But I don't believe Tyson Fury is going to come back before the end of September, but he could because he was talking about September or October. I think October is more likely because there's just a lot of big fights going on in September, and I don't think they're going to want to clash with each other. But we'll see. But Fury deserves to be number one, and we're going to see if he can get back in line for one of those world titles. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the heavyweight division because I love it. I'll come back with you with the welterweights, and that's going to be it for my mid-year top 10. So I hope you're enjoying them. True Boxing, been hit with the truth.